Here's a true story from Antarctica that has me asking a lot of questions. A naval flight engineer tells the story of his experience in McMurdo Station, Antarctica around 1995. They fly this huge plane around the continent and do assignments like drop people off, pick people up, stuff like that. Whenever they would fly toward the pole, they would always get to the same spot called Beardmore Glacier. In this area and throughout the continent, it's so common to see flying circular craft flying up and down and in pairs all around them. During lunchtime, they would all have discussions about this, and one thing they all noticed was that these craft would never fly through the no-fly zone near Beardmore Glacier. They thought there was some sort of barrier or territorial agreement that they couldn't go there. One day there was a medical accident on the other side of the continent, and this crew realized that it would take them 6 hours to get to this man. The captain knew that flying through this no-fly zone would actually be faster than going around, so he asked why they couldn't fly through the zone. And the answer they got was that it was an air monitoring station. They concluded that they're high enough and that they wouldn't contaminate the air, so they decided to fly through this no-fly zone. So they're flying and they're all looking down. They look and they notice that there's this huge hole in the ice that was probably the size of a football field. It led deep under the ice. Of course, they were all mystified and they all had so much questions on what this hole was. They pick up this guy and they head straight back to McMurdo Station. As soon as they land, they're met with a guy in an all-black suit. Remember, this is Antarctica, so this must have been really important. The crew was told by this man, what you saw at pole, you did not see. You do not talk about this because you never saw it. After much rumors, they realized what this thing could really have been. It is said that extraterrestrials and the government are working together within this hole as some sort of collaboration. Yo, we all know we've heard all the conspiracy theories talk about this Agartha theory and all this stuff, but after what this government guy said, I'm really starting to think about it. Whistleblowers have reported this stuff so many times. Let me know what you guys think, because there's so many possibilities on what this thing could be. I don't doubt this story at all, especially since so many soldiers report this.
What conspiracy theories are too logical to be ignored? Part 19.
The Titanic didn't sink, the Olympic did. The story goes that after a disastrous maiden voyage of the Olympic, it would cost millions to repair in a time where 1 million was a lot of money. Its sister ship, Titanic, was still being built, so they hatched an insurance fraud scam. They swapped the nameplates between the two ships, labeled the Olympic as the Titanic, and set sail. They planned to take damage to the ship, have a nearby ship save everyone, collect the insurance money and party hard. Except there was a small boat illegally doing stuff in between the Titanic Olympic. So when the Titanic Olympic sent up flares for help, the other ship responded instead of the planned one, causing the messages to become confused. So the ship that was sent to save everyone was late and a lot of people died.
Have you ever heard of the Ed, Edd and Eddy theory? The theory suggests that all the kids in the neighborhood are dead and all their adventures are taking place in purgatory. Evidence that supports this theory is because the kids have blue or green tongues, which is evident in corpses. In earlier seasons, the children experience an endless summer, which suggests that time no longer exists. The reason they never leave the cul-de-sac is because they can't. They are stuck souls, forced to live out eternity in the neighborhood they died in. According to the theory, the children all come from different eras between the 1900s and 2000s. Rolf is the eldest of the bunch and died in 1903 after being stampeded by his family's farm animals. Johnny died in 1922 from tuberculosis. His wooden friend Plank was created as a result of his loneliness, and he took Plank into the afterlife since it was the last thing he saw before he died. Eddie moved from New York to the neighborhood during the Great Depression and would scam the neighborhood kids to earn money. Eventually, the children caught on to his tricks and chased him down. To escape, Eddie jumped into a lake and drowned. Even in purgatory, Eddie is still chasing the idea of wealth and money and continues his scams even after death. Ed and Sarah moved into the neighborhood next after their father died in World War II. When their heartbroken mother becomes distant and neglectful, they each find their own ways of coping. Sarah takes on the parental role, while Ed gets lost in his own imagination through comic books. They both passed away in a car accident in 1953. Naz came from a hippie family in the 1960s. Unfortunately, her life was short-lived after her and her entire family were murdered in 1979 by a serial killer who escaped from a nearby asylum. Double D originates from the 70s and came from a strict household where he was raised to strive for perfection in every aspect of his life. Being so worked up and determined to become the best son he could be, he spent extra time on schoolwork and did not notice the gas leak coming from his chemistry set, which eventually eventually exploded and resulted in his death. Kevin came from the 80s. His bullying persona was a result of the abuse he faced from his father, who beat him to death in the winter of 1999. Even though his dad was sentenced to life imprisonment for his son's murder, Kevin imagines his dad as the complete opposite. While in purgatory, he is loved by the very man who ended his life. Jimmy is the youngest of the group, originating from the 90s. Because he suffered from leukemia, he wasn't allowed to hang out with the other children in fear that he would wind up hurt. Eventually, he died from his illness. The Cankers are said to be demons sent to purgatory to torture the souls of the children. Their attraction to the Eds is because they have the weakest will and they each represent a deadly sin. Even though there is some evidence supporting this theory, there's more going against it. For instance, the reason for the children's green tongues is due to the candy they eat, with particular reference to jawbreakers and their vast array of colors. The time period is made to be ambiguous, but by closely examining certain background elements, such as magazines and product boxes, viewers can easily identify the era as taking place sometime during the 90s.
Yo, I'm about to show y'all an interview by Jim Carrey. Please pay attention to what he's saying. I know what he's exposing, but let's see if y'all do. Listen up. And just the way he go about it is so smart and it's so intelligent, but he's not giving nobody enough who don't understand. If you understand, then you know what he's talking about. Let's look.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in
boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have the power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others? Artistry, you're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah. You shut it down now. Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself. And I don't care.
But Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No, I
Was that an accident?
I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream?
It's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happening in our world right now? Because there is a lot of news that actually is relevant that's not that
Here's the
uplifting.
thing. It's not our world.
None
That's
of this
the
is
key.
real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
Oh.
Yes, we can, and it has to do with cave systems, Native American folklore, and a giant cover-up by the US government under the direction of Teddy Roosevelt and the National Park Service. Allow me to explain. The United States is crisscrossed by a series of extremely complex and mostly unexplored cave systems that go under the Appalachian, Rocky, and other smaller mountain ranges. Native American monsters like the Wendigo like to inhabit these caves. Short answer for why that is that they're so consumed by their desire for human flesh that they have no real sentience any longer. So they don't really think to build shelters, they just live in caves. And of course, Teddy Roosevelt, being the avid outdoorsman he was and a believer in Bigfoot, knew about these creatures. He knew that they were hunting people. He started the National Park Service so that he could have actual special forces kind of corral these things into areas where they could be managed and possibly killed, or at the very least, keep people away from them. Now, why are people allowed in the national park? Well, because if you put off a lot of federal land and said you can't go here, people would ask questions. So those people getting lost are just collateral damage at this point.
We don't understand the universe. We don't understand any of this stuff. They're just now starting to think that inside every black hole is another universe. Wrap your fucking head around that. They think this is a new theory amongst scientists, not people like me, but amongst scientists. They believe that inside every galaxy is a supermassive black hole. And the newest theory is that inside every supermassive black hole is another universe with hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with a black hole at the center, each containing another universe with hundreds of billions of galaxies. We have no fucking idea.
These are crazy what-if theories. What if air is actually poisonous? It's just taking 80 years to kill us. What if the reason we can't walk through mirrors is because our reflection is blocking us because they want to protect us from the other side? What if birthmarks are the places that actually killed us in our past lives? What if dreams are reality and reality as we know it is a dream?
Oh my god, it's an owl and not a giant statue depicting Moloch, the ancient Babylonian god that required child sacrifice. Yes, I love owls. For all you crazy conspiracy theorists, it's not Moloch. It's just an owl because they're at night and this took place at night, so it makes sense. You know what I mean? And then playing the theme of like the Hunger Games or whatever. Oh, Squid Games. Yeah, whatever. Definitely not the same vibes as Bohemian Grove. I mean, it kind of is, but like people see owls everywhere and you can make giant statues to them and like have them as decoration if you want. Like, we live in America, you can be free to worship giant statues of owls. It's a freedom. Not everything is symbolism. All of you all need to chill. It's just a giant Moloch owl statue. Duh.
This is everything the Simpsons predicted in 2020. First, they predicted Trump in office. Then they predicted Kobe's plane crash. Next, they predicted the virus and even had it come from workers in Japan. Take a look. And in the same episode, they had dangerous unaliving bees, which are actually the unaliving hornets we have living amongst us now.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
So I was in Colombia for 3 weeks and I was eating like I've never eaten before. Eating pastries and breads and Nutella, and I was eating like I've never eaten before. And I thought when I'd get back to the US that I would have gained like 10 to 15 pounds in Colombia. I lost 12 pounds in 3 weeks in being in Colombia. And I was, eating pastas, juices, breads, carbs. I wasn't restricting myself from absolutely anything. And the minute that I get back here, I got back a week ago. And in 1 week of eating food here in the US, healthy foods, I gained 8 pounds in a week here in the US. When over there, I was eating 10 times more than I'm eating now. And I lost weight. And here I'm eating less and I'm gaining.
And let them all in here, yeah, they all in here. We big dog, we come out the pound, so we big dog. Heavy paddock on me, break my wrist off. I'm young out of rocket, about to leave.